The beginning of July is usually quiet. In July, we can usually expect a lighter crowd in shul. There's less programming in the synagogue. We're planning for the months of September and October. But as many of you know, this July 1st is a very meaningful Shabbat for Rabbi Sherman and me as we begin as your co-senior rabbis here at Sinai Temple. I think that's going to be my new alarm clock every morning. But it truly is a significant Shabbat morning with Cantor Feldman and Rabbi Taff, Rabbi Kornsgold, and Cantor Campbell. We will continue Rabbi Wolpe's legacy in strengthening Sinai Temple and ensuring the path for the Jewish community in the years to come. But I dare say, it all begins with a chair. I'm not going to lie. This morning, it was a little daunting, sitting in the chair that has been known as Rabbi Wolpe's for 26 years. You see, for the last 18 years serving as your rabbi and rabbinic intern, and Rabbi Sherman serving this congregation for 11 years, we've only sat in the other bima seats. Because for the two of us, and I know many for you, this chair is symbolic. This chair is for the senior rabbi. And so it has been reserved for Rabbi Wolpe, and even on his sabbatical, we didn't want to sit in that chair because we wanted to give reverence to him and his position. But what I want to teach this morning and share is that this tradition is not just the tradition of assistant rabbis at Sinai Temple. Because you see, the rabbis in the Talmud in Kedushin speak of exactly this. They ask the question, how should one revere and honor their teacher? And this is actually couched in a discussion of how you should honor a parent in the home and in the world. And the beginning of the conversation speaks about how you should not speak in front of your teacher, even if you disagree with your teacher. That certain conversations should be held in private. But then the Talmud goes on to say, what else? And in a beautiful answer, the Talmud asks the question, what about where you should sit? And the answer is, if you want to show esteem to a parent, esteem to a teacher, esteem to a rabbi, velo yoshev bimkomo. You shouldn't sit in their seat. You don't sit in their seat. Because according to the Tosefta, a companion volume of Jewish law, you don't sit because vehadarta. You adore and you revere that person. As it says in Devarim, and I appointed them wise and knowledgeable leaders over you. In the same manner that we honor a patriarch or a matriarch in the family, perhaps by not sitting in their seat in the dining room table, at shul, in synagogue, we recognize our rabbi by establishing on the bima their makom kavua, their fixed seat. But as a rabbi or a leader retires, we know the chair becomes vacant. And so this morning, with the permission of Rabbi Wolpe, he has graciously said to us, rabbis, come on, get to it. Go sit in that seat. But Rabbi Sherman and I have been thinking so much about the gravitas of sitting in that chair, but moreover, what it means to have a seat at this table. In the 16th century, Yosef Karo, a great rabbinic thinker, he was worried about the state of world Jewry, with the expulsion of the Jews from Spain, the decentralization of Jewish communities all over the world. He wondered, how can we preserve Jewish tradition? How can we ensure that our laws are readable, relatable, livable? And so he created one of the greatest compendiums of Jewish law, known none other than the Shulchan Aruch, the set table. I want you to think about that imagery for a second, that Jewish law is encased in a book called the Set Table, because some of our greatest Jewish moments, our greatest Jewish traditions are around a set table. Shabbat dinner every single week, in which we sing Kiddush and bless our children. Perhaps the greatest Jewish celebrated holiday of Pesach. Certainly we come to shul to celebrate the holiday, but where do we celebrate the Seder? Around the table, sharing the story of our people. And even during a wedding, before the chuppah, before the bride and groom stand under the chuppah to be married, we sign the ketubah. Where? At a table. And so our greatest moments certainly take place in the shul, but the moments in which we eat and live and laugh and celebrate, living out our faith and connecting to God, that all happens around a Shulchan Aruch. But I have to tell you, over the last 6 months or so, Rabbi Sherman and I have been meeting daily with congregants all eagerly and excited about our taking on this new position and this new role, and they've shared with us truly vulnerable statements about their lives. And those conversations have all taken on a familiar theme. Rabbi, when it comes to my connection with Judaism, I'm feeling lost. Another congregant shared with me, Rabbi, I just have to let you know, when I think about our faith, I'm just not sure where I belong. And Rabbi Sherman and I have sat for hours thinking about these statements. We interpret them to mean anything from, I'm not sure where I feel I belong in the Jewish community. I think differently from everyone else. I don't know what my next step is. Rabbi, I don't know where to turn. In other words, so many of you have reached out and said to us, I don't see a seat for myself at the table. And so I'm asking you to please listen closely. On this first Shabbat as your senior rabbis, it is our rabbinic vision to ensure that you have a seat at our table. You have a seat at Sinai Temple. Together we will discover new ways of belonging. We will discover new ways to engage each other and transform this synagogue into a Jewish living laboratory, a place where you should expect to feel seen, a place in which you will access deep Torah learning from your clergy, and as well, expect from this congregation, a congregation where we share our joys and our sorrows, a congregation that is committed and devoted to each other. Our congregation is one in which you should have a table where you feel heard, re-engaging with God and re-engaging with each other, renewing your connection to our faith, our customs and traditions, and perhaps asking questions you haven't dared to wonder in a very long time. Let this be the table where you ask those questions, and let this be the table where your questions inspire someone to ask theirs. I remember attending my very first Shabbat service at UCLA Hillel. Rabbi Chaim Seidler-Feller was leading the service, and he began the service with the following question: where are you supposed to place your Shabbos candles? And of course, the congregation of students were quiet. We waited for his answer. And he responded, you place the candlesticks in the middle of the Shabbos table. Why? Because it's the light of the candles that allows you to see the people who are seated before you, and it's the light of the candles that allows you to see the people who are seated by your side. But then he said, when you truly see the people who are sitting around you, it's that exact moment when Shalom Bayit, when peace can enter your home. Rabbi Wolpe stood here last Shabbat, recalling his first sermon, addressing this congregation. As senior rabbis, we will forever remember this moment. Today, it's with the utmost gratitude. Gratitude to Rabbi Wolpe, to our Sinai Temple Board of Directors, our leadership, and to all of you, our beloved congregation. As your senior rabbis, we offer our commitment, our dedication, and from the depths of our hearts, we will enable to build this congregation so that we can reach the greatest of spiritual heights. I want you to remember just for a moment the story about the angels on Shabbat. The story goes that as a person is leaving shul, walking home, there are two angels that accompany that person. We're told that one is a pretty good angel, and the other one, not so good. And when the person arrives home, if they look into their window and see that the candles are lit and the table is set, then the good angel will say to that person, Shalom Aleichem, peace unto you. And may this Shabbat be exactly like next Shabbat. But the not so good angel has no other choice but to answer, Amen. We pray that as we begin to set this table, as we continue building this sacred Sinai Temple community and pave the way for future generations, the angels will also choose to bless us with peace. And so this morning, as we humbly take our seat, we invite all of you to do just the same. Pull up a chair, sit down, and join us, for our table is set just for you. Shabbat Shalom.